The spoilers for the Friday, October 3rd, 2025, episode of The Young and the Restless have Victor and Jack agreeing on a plan of attack while Billy reopens old wounds with Jill. Kane Ashby is indeed a formidable adversary, and artificial intelligence is not to be taken lightly. How else to explain two longtime rivals like Victor Newman and Jack Abbott agree to team up? On Friday's show, watch for the mustached mogul and Smilin' Jack to agree on a plan of attack. Does Kane stand a chance against the combined forces of Victor and Jack? We can't think of many who would. Kane has played his agenda close to the vest, and his goal is to re-win Lily's heart and the love of their children, Maddie and Charlie. If Jack and Victor want to get to Kane, they may go through his family to achieve that goal. Billy Abbott has some issues with his mother that may date back to the fact that he spent formative years without her. As he was living in New York with his father, the late John Abbott, he came back to Genoa City as a teen and reconnected with his mother, quickly finding her to be a helicopter parent as Jill tried to interfere with his romance with Mac. Jill's more recent interference in her son's life was to sell Chancellor Industries to Victor, who turned the company over to his wife, Nikki. To say that Billy did not take this well would be a severe understatement. He's tried allying himself with Kane to get the company back, but Kane told him that he was too volatile. Billy recently came to terms that Kane was not good for him either. He not only asked Jack if he could come back into the family fold, but Billy also made sincere overtures to Sally. On Friday's show, watch for Billy to reopen some old wounds with Jill. Will the two heal their wounds, or will things grow worse between mother and son? Tune in to find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. At Society, Audra talks Sally's ear off about starting a new venture. Sally's still counting on Abbott Communications and reveals she may have a different backer. Audra wants a name, but the redhead needs more time. Sally hints that Billy might be upset with her about what she's done. Audra thinks this sounds like more trouble than it's worth. She doesn't want to be under the thumb of another man. Sally says it's not a man. Just then, Amy appears with Nate. "Hello, Audra." Audra gulps. Making nice, they go over Amy's successful cancer treatments and the loss of Damien. Amy admits she's sad that Audra doesn't come around anymore. Nate introduces Amy to Sally, and then they walk off. Audra asks Sally not to say, "I told you so." At their table, Nate tells Amy that when he said he was done with Audra, he meant it. Lily joins them and complains about Audra staying in town. Across the room, Audra rolls her eyes over another person who hates her coming in, and thanks Sally for being a good friend who tried to warn her. She gets emotional about missing Amy and Nate, and decides she can't run from what she did any longer. It was wrong, stupid, and selfish. She took Nate for granted. In agony, Audra looks over at her ex. Sally thinks Audra can still fix things with Nate. Audra pouts that he's too good for her and keeps beating herself up. Sally urges her pal to try to make things right. At the other table, Lily goes on to Nate and Amy about her twins still being mad at Kane. She can't find anything noble in what her ex has done. Amy thinks Lily and the kids should let it go. That said, she would like nothing more to look Kane in the eye and tell him exactly what she thinks about him. Billy shows up at the Kane train, wanting to talk. He got a call from his mother. Jill wants the three of them to get together. Billy questions if this is Kane's plan. They bicker as Ashby insists he has no idea what Jill wants. Billy threatens to tattle to his mother that Kane plans to decimate everyone in Genoa City. Kane snarks that he'll live if Jill is upset about his plan. He will not be deterred. Billy can't figure him out. He swings between remorse and ruthlessness. Kane suggests he focus on Abbott Communications and Sally. Billy asks if Kane will go through with his plan and piss Jill off. Predictably, Ashby refuses to answer. Still throwing attitude, Kane informs Billy he doesn't know enough to stop him. Billy needles that maybe his plan is simply to keep everyone guessing. Billy thinks Kane is in over his head, which Ashby finds amusing. Turning his own advice back on him, Billy suggests he focus on his kids. If he follows through on his plan, he'll lose them for good. This irritates Kane, who asks if he's trying to save him. Billy, a changed man, declares that Sally showed him what matters. Back at Society, Sally urges Audra to be brave and let Nate know that she took him for granted and apologize. She might even get what she wants. Across the room, Lily's still moaning about her children calling her and crying over Kane becoming a mystery billionaire. Talk turns to Audra, and Lily asks Nate if he could forgive her. Nate admits it would take a hell of a lot to convince him. Just then, Audra scoots over to pull him for a chat. Nate resists, and Lily urges him not to listen to his ex. Amy, however, urges him to follow his heart. That's enough to convince him to follow Audra out the door. Sally smiles and Lily shoots her a dirty look. Amy tells Lily that Audra's had a tough life and had a terrible childhood. She's not good at being vulnerable and gets in her own way. She has to answer for what she did to Nate, but it breaks her heart to see them in so much pain. Lily harps that Audra took Nate for granted. She has no sympathy for her. Sally passes by, and Lily asks her to stop encouraging Audra to break Nate's heart all over again. Sally's sorry if it upset her. She was glad Audra acknowledged that she made a mistake. Amy jumps in to say that people make mistakes, and it doesn't always define who they are. Lily thinks with Audra, it does. At the Overlook, Audra cries that Nate has always been there for her, and she repaid him by breaking his heart. "I am so incredibly sorry, Nate." She knows what she did was wrong. She didn't take his feelings into account. Audra misses him and what they had. She pushes people away, but she's never felt lonelier since they broke up. "There's a hole in my heart without you." She wonders if there's any hope of forgiveness. Back on the Kane train, he's highly irritated by Billy trying to act as his therapist. Billy, unsurprisingly, doesn't give up, complaining that he needs to get off the train and fix his relationships. "Get your act together," he snaps, which is rich coming from him. Kane decides he'll meet him halfway. "I'll make a deal with you. Kane will give it another try with his kids, if Billy will give it another shot with his mom." Billy snarks, "Did she put you up to this? What's in it for you?" Kane says she's like a mother to him, and Billy cutting her out of his life killed her. Just then, Jill appears and declares, "You hurt me more than you will ever know, Billy." The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that there could be 5 pregnancy contenders when it comes to who should get the next baby storyline, who might end up expecting once Y&R decides to deliver another bundle of joy. Now that Claire Newman is all about being impulsive and taking risks, maybe an unplanned pregnancy could be in her future. If Claire hops in bed with Holden Novak during her Los Angeles trip, she might come home with his bun in the oven. Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott have been facing some serious obstacles lately, but maybe Y&R should make things even messier. A surprise pregnancy would certainly accomplish that, and would give Sally another chance at motherhood. There are some clues about a possible cheating story for Devin Winters, so Amanda Sinclair is the logical person for him to land in bed with if that happens. Could Amanda get pregnant in the process and blow up Devin's marriage to Abby Winters with a baby curveball? Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson's relationship is finally on stable ground, so perhaps Y&R should add a baby to the mix. Many Chelsea and Adam fans have always rooted for them to give Connor Newman a little brother or sister, so could Chelsea get the next pregnancy story? It feels like Audra Charles is running out of steam as a character, so she could use a fresh direction. Audra tends to be selfish and fixated on business, so she'd be a great character to throw some baby drama at. That would require Audra to think about more than just herself, and could give her a permanent link to a male character. There are some hints about Audra potentially reigniting her spark with Noah Newman once he comes back to town. Audra previously lost Noah's baby, but could they get another chance at a child together? No matter which woman gets the next pregnancy storyline, it seems like the show's long overdue for one. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the baby drought will end in Genoa City sooner or later, so stay tuned for updates on any pregnancy news on the horizon. Thursday's episode of The Young and the Restless promises to be a big one for Audra. Yet again, she's going to plead with estranged boyfriend Nate to take her back after he learned that she made out with Kyle as part of Victor's plot to separate Jack's son from significant other Claire in exchange for funding for the Company of the Week. And we already know what's going to happen. Nate's going to forgive Audra. He's gotta, right? If Nate wants to be mad that Audra didn't let him in on her ill-advised deal with Victor, fine. That calls for a bout of pouty pants, we suppose, but not a chronic case of snit fit. Please? This is Nate the Snake that we're talking about. He had sex with cousin Devin's then-girlfriend Elena, then cheated on her with Victoria. A saint, he ain't. So the conniver pretty much has to reunite with his significant other, just in time for all the passions that have been stirred between Audra and Kyle to explode. What? You don't think that that'll happen? Come on. There's a thin line between love and hate, and those two are teetering right on it. And you have to admit, she's more fun being bad with Kyle than she is trying to be good with Nate. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Kyle Abbott may learn shocking news about Summer Newman that has Kyle running to save her. Summer hit it off with a new man when she left Newman in Genoa City for a job that worked better for her at the time. Could things have moved fast enough for this guy to propose? Claire and Kyle were getting along great when Summer left town. However, that is not the case now that Claire broke things off with him. Claire claims to need time to figure things out for herself. However, it is beginning to seem that Claire broke up with Kyle so she could see where her friendship with Holden Novak might go. There have been sparks between Claire and Holden since the day they met. Claire did decide to walk until she's free so she can see where that relationship goes. Kyle has built Claire up as his one true love for months. Could Kyle realize that Claire is not the love of his life after all? Is Summer who Kyle was really meant to be with? Claire is tired of having to be Little Miss Perfect and to do essentially what Kyle believes she should do. Claire is tired of being a good girl who does what everyone else expects. Instead, Claire wants to get out and live a little since she had never been allowed to do anything while growing up. Claire is interested in Holden, and no one has the right to tell her to stay away. Fans are not happy with how the show has been written to downplay his relationship with Summer. Summer and Kyle have hurt each other, but they have always gotten back together every time they have split up. Is Kyle about to figure out that Summer is truly the love of his life and how much he wants her back? Harrison Abbott is back in town and could offer his dad some information on his mom, and information that Kyle hasn't gotten a hold of yet. Will Harrison tells his dad that mom is we-engaged. Of course, Kyle will want to know more. Perhaps Harrison will tell his father more about mommy and the new guy. How is he and what does he want? Kyle will certainly want to know how this guy is with kids. Kyle may insist on meeting this fellow before he agrees to have him around Harrison. Will Summer and Kyle realize they still need to be together and make up after all of this time? Audra wishes she could go back and have it all with Nate, but is he willing to let go and move forward? Audra is having regrets. Seeing Nate looking disgusted with her was enough to have her running in the other direction. However, Sally encouraged Audra to ask Nate to forgive her on The Young and the Restless. But should he? It got a little crowded at society. Audra and Sally were having drinks when Nate walked in with Amy. This made for an awkward interaction between the exes. Lily later joined them for dinner. Despite Amy's niceties, Audra knows that Amy knows what she did and would take Nate's side in the situation. Sally told her best friend not to beat herself up over what happened, but Audra let Victor's go to her head. She thought she could handle his proposition and have it all. Sally believes that Audra and Nate could work things out. It's not too late. Audra believes that she's better at business than relationships. She couldn't give Nate the honesty he deserved. Then, Sally encouraged Audra to tell Nate the truth. It's never too late to see where things could go. Maybe Audra could have it all in the end. Apparently, Audra still has feelings for Nate. Even though they haven't exchanged I love yous, she could have let her guard down with him at some point. Nate was unlike other men. She never felt so close to someone like him before. He became someone she could trust. Audra was motivated by her conversation with Sally. So, she asked Nate if they could speak alone. Lily warned him not to, while Amy advised him to follow his heart. He reluctantly agreed to a walk to the city overlook. This brought back memories of her first day with Glissade when she was anxious about her new job. Nate taught her mindfulness. He told her that he believed in her. Nate remembered those days as well, but feels a lot has changed between them. In a rare moment, Audra got emotional and vulnerable. She told him that she has been repaying for what she's done to him. Finally, Audra apologized to Nate for breaking his heart and going about things the wrong way. But should Nate forgive Audra? It would take a lot of convincing on her part. She never considered Nate's feelings in the first place, which is why their relationship ended. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for the week of October 6th, reveal that it sounds like Claire Grace Newman might land in some trouble in Los Angeles. Victoria Newman follows her daughter there. Plus, Nick Newman and Sharon Newman go on an adventure to visit Noah Newman. All of these LA stories could intersect, though, so let's get started on what's coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Jill Abbott, who is a big part of Jack Abbott and Victor Newman's plan. Sally Spectra actually video-chatted with Jill and warned her about Billy Abbott, as well as a proposition for her own company. Nikki Newman knows that it is possible that Jill might take Kane Ashby's side. Jack and Victor are strategizing, both together, and on their own. They plan on making a trap for Kane soon. Over with Lauren Fenmore Baldwin. She is fed up with Michael Baldwin. While he knows how Lauren feels, Michael just can't resist picking up old habits. However, Lauren might forgive him once he helps save the companies in Genoa City. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for the week of October 6th, reveal that Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. will start their investigation. They will begin with the place where Mariah Copeland said she tried to kill a man. Fans will also see Kyle Abbott need something to distract him from Claire going on that trip to LA with Holden Novak. Kyle will clearly spend his time arguing with Audra Charles. With Audra getting another no from Nate Hastings, could something happen with Kyle? There is also Victoria, who will follow Claire and Holden to LA. While it does seem rather overprotective for a woman Claire's age, Holden has been said to be an extreme risk-taker. So, I wonder if Claire could end up in a troubling situation, one that Victoria could save her from. Also in Los Angeles, Nick and Sharon plan to visit Noah. However, there could be some surprises there as well, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of October 6th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next. Jill's unexpected arrival forces Kane and Billy to confront the personal toll of their war, and the fallout is just beginning. In the October 2nd episode of The Young and the Restless, Jill's unexpected arrival at the Kane train turned a power struggle into a deeply personal reckoning. Her confrontation with Billy laid bare the pain his choices have caused, while Kane's refusal to back down showed just how high the stakes have grown. Kane continued to push his hidden agenda, sparring with Billy over loyalty, ambition, and family ties. Billy accused Kane of playing dangerous games that could cost him everything, from his reputation to his children. Kane dismissed the warnings, insisting Billy was the last person who should be handing out lectures. Their exchanges revealed a striking contrast, Billy positioning himself as reformed, while Kane balanced between remorse and ruthless determination. The clash took a sharp turn when Jill appeared, demanding to be heard. For Kane, she remains a maternal figure, but for Billy, she is a mirror of his own failures. Jill's raw declaration that her son had hurt her more than he knew cut them through the noise, shifting the conversation from schemes to wounds. Her words made it clear that this feud is no longer just about business maneuvers or vendettas. It is about the fragile bonds of family and the deep scars left behind. Jill's presence forces both men to reckon with consequences larger than themselves. Kane's determination to forge ahead and Billy's insistence that he has changed now collide with Jill's need for honesty and accountability. For the Abbotts, the cost of this war isn't just fractured trust, but the risk of unraveling their family legacy. With Jill at the center, both Kane and Billy must face that their choices have already drawn blood, and more fallout is inevitable. Here Comes the Bride is all well and good, but at the moment, we're more excited about Here Come the Wedding Guests. In particular, two beloved fan favorites, Young and Restless veterans Trisha Cast and Patty Weaver, will be reprising their roles of Christine's bestie, Nina Webster, and Danny's sister, Gina Roma, for episodes surrounding the couple's November nuptials, Soap Opera Digest reports. Cast, who joined the show in 1986 and won a Daytime Emmy half a dozen years later, last passed through Genoa City in early 2024. This will be Nina's first visit since the tragic deaths of sons Ronan off-screen and Chanson. Weaver has been a part of the Young and the Restless family even longer than cast. She made her debut as singer-restaurateur Gina in 1982 and last popped up in Genoa City on the occasion of the soap's 50th anniversary. If only the character had tied the knot with sometime beau John Abbott, she could be knee-deep in Jabot drama now. The Young and the Restless fan favorites Trisha Cast, who plays Nina, and Patty Weaver, who plays Gina, are coming back to Genoa City in November. The two actresses are set to reprise their roles just in time for Danny and Cricket's wedding. Soap Opera Digest first reported the news of the returns. It's fitting that the two will be at the wedding, as they both attended Christine and Danny's Hawaiian nuptials back in 1990. Nina served as Cricket's maid of honor, but the two weren't always besties. The two women had both fallen for Philip Chancellor III. Nina became pregnant with Philip's son, Chance, and ended up marrying him. Alas, Philip died in a car wreck after driving drunk, or so viewers thought for decades. In reality, Philip had faked his death so that he could move to Australia and live openly there as a gay man. He returned to Genoa City about 20 years later, shocking his family and loved ones. Cast has made sporadic appearances over the years since her exit as a full-time cast member in the early 2000s. The actress won the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Young Actress in a drama series in '92 for the storyline in which Nina shot her unfaithful husband, David Kimball, who had planned to do away with her. Cast was nominated again, this time in the category of Outstanding Supporting Actress in 2011, for her role as Nina. Viewers are hoping that Nina will get to cross paths with Kane during this visit, so that she can let loose with her feelings teaks over the death of Chance, who died saving Kane's life. Like Nina, Weaver's Gina fell prey to a bad boy. She trusted Clint Radisson, but he concocted a devious plan to replace Catherine Chancellor with Marge. Clint's plan was foiled when Marge pretended to fight a captive Kay, but ended up switching places with her so Catherine could escape. Gina confronted Clint in jail and faced her wrath. Nina and Gina dropped by Genoa City in 2023 for the show's 50th anniversary gala. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Kyle Abbott admitted that he screwed up. But what happened between him and Claire Newman goes beyond them. Claire's soapy upbringing meant that she wasn't allowed to develop normal social connections, which included dating. So she never had a boyfriend until Kyle appeared in her life. Viewers recall that Harrison Abbott was kidnapped, along with Claire, by Jordan Howard. That established the bond between them that led to Claire's connection with Kyle, whom she realizes she's not ready to love. Claire's mother and grandmother are two people she intended to damage approximately a year ago. Jordan's kidnapping of Claire at birth and raising of her in a cult of personality fashion meant Erin's character didn't know who to trust. She believed her great-aunt Jordan was telling the truth, but Victoria Newman and Cole Howard never abandoned her in the maternity ward. Thankfully, Claire recognized reality at the cabin where Jordan intended to kill many members of the Newman family and her nephew, Cole. Victoria and Nikki have since established a loving and protective bond with Claire. They supported her relationship with Kyle and were surprised to learn that she recently ended it. Claire's mention of their relationships with Cole and Victor Newman was well-intentioned and impacted their response. Kyle doesn't have to be perfect, though he seems to feel that way. The imbalance between Kyle's extensive relationship experience, including marriage and being a parent, put an assumed emotional burden on him. Recent events, especially those that included Audra Charles, exposed the contrast between where Claire and Kyle are in their lives. It's not that Kyle could have done things differently, including his choice to engage with Audra in a game of cat and robed mouse in Kane Ashby's train car. However, the complexity of what Kyle intended with Audra isn't something Claire could digest or understandably slough off. Claire's flirtation with Holden Novak could range from a rebound distraction all the way to her next realized relationship. But as of now, Claire is taking time and creating space to lift her spirit, and that is completely reasonable. Kyle needs to keep to himself and let time flow. His impulsive nature implies that it won't happen, and that he'll make another bad decision by questioning Claire's decision to travel with Holden to California. A handful of years into her run in Genoa City, Wisconsin, and Audra finds herself having left another job, or whatever that was, with Kane. She is also single and not by choice. Losing Nate Hastings stings. She can blame Kyle, but underneath, Audra knows he's not at fault for Nate's alienation. It wouldn't be a surprise to see Kyle and Audra have another romantic burst. It also wouldn't be stunning to see this pair form into a couple by winter. If Audra were honest with herself, she would realize that Kyle is the man she loves. He doesn't feel the same about her yet. This site is a leading source for everything linked to the young and the restless. Check back regularly for Y&R spoilers and news. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, October 2nd, reveal some major moments in Genoa City. A mama bear makes a grand return, while two characters find common ground, and someone begs for a second chance. What's on the horizon for Thursday's show? Time to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, October 2nd, suggest that Jill Abbott will make a splashing return to the canvas. With that said, unlike other times she's come back, she won't just be video chatting with someone, she'll be in town. In the flesh! Added teasers imply that the mama bear has some unfinished business with Kane Ashby and Billy Abbott, so can she help smooth over the tension between these two? Across town, Jill won't be the only mama bear returning to GC, as Amy Lewis will also be seen during the October 2nd show. Amy hasn't been seen on canvas since her son, Damian Kane, was murdered in Nice, and the woman has been struggling with the death of her son. Amy will attempt to find common ground with Lily Winters. So can these two women land on the same page? Finally, The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday note that Audra Charles will beg Nate Hastings for one more chance. The two did make a very cute couple. However, Audra's lies and deceit tore their relationship apart. Nate was warned continually by Lily and Devin Hamilton Winters about Audra, but still pursued a romance. Considering what Audra put him through, it's highly unlikely that he'll agree to giving their relationship another go. Will Audra take no for an answer? Fans will have to tune in to find out. What storyline are you most looking forward to during Thursday's show? Comment below. Billy will soon be falling back into old habits. Billy has given up his quest for Chancellor on The Young and the Restless. Now that his and Kane's deal fell through, he's concentrating on Abbott Communications. However, to get his new company off the ground, Billy may resort to drastic measures. Billy tends to branch out on his own when it comes to work. His latest venture, Abbott Communications, was his fresh start. With Sally by his side, they were going to make it a success. However, much like Billy's other endeavors, he managed to screw things up. When Billy opted to forego Abbott Communications in favor of teaming with Kane, he angered many people. Among those were Jack, who pulled funding from Abbott Communications. But now that Kane's deal is off the table, Billy is turning his attention back to Abbott Communications. Yet, there's one problem. Billy needs money to fund his venture. Since Jack's no longer investing in the company, Billy will have to find another way to get the money. To do so, he might resort to old habits. Gambling is one of Billy's vices, and his addiction has landed him in trouble over the years. Every time it appears he's kicked the habit, he falls back into the same pattern. With Abbott Communications needing money, Billy might return to the card tables. Billy is showing signs of recklessness, and it won't be long before he starts spiraling. Billy resuming his gambling addiction could be what sets him off. His main goal is to earn enough to fund Abbott Communications. However, the company will take a backseat to gambling. Once Billy is hit with the thrill of winning, he'll continue to press his luck. Before long, Billy will be at risk of losing everything. Not only will he lose his money and his company, but also Sally. She stood by his side through thick and thin. But with Billy gambling away their future, it might be the end of their relationship. Unsurprisingly, fans are taking sides in Claire and Kyle's split and saying who's calling the shots. Claire was the one who broke up with Kyle. Yet, fans of The Young and the Restless feel that the Abbott son is finding his background. Meanwhile, other fans think Claire is finally holding her own. Who do you think has the bigger backbone? There's been a heavy debate on one soap opera message board. One poster claimed that Kyle finally grew a backbone. That user hopes he will move on and reunite with Summer. However, not all fans share this sentiment. They still think that Kyle is acting like a lapdog who wants Claire back. One person responded, "Wow! I saw the exact opposite of you. I saw Kyle as the petulant child. I saw him trying to walk all over Claire. He was very nasty to her. He's the one I'd call immature." Someone else argued, "Yes, Kyle was being childish with his parents, but I think he was spot on with Claire. That spoiled little miss needs to grow up." Claire argued that she was too young and immature to jump into a serious relationship. She wants the time and space to find herself. But it's bothering Kyle that she's exploring that side of herself with Holden. Meanwhile, in another thread, fans thought Claire was finally standing up for herself. The original poster wrote, "It's about time she used her brain and told Kyle to take a hike." Some are rooting for her independence. One person argued, she was in a situation where she was going to be controlled by someone else. At least now she can start to stand up for herself on her own 2 feet. Let her start to explore who she is and not what someone else wants her to be. Someone else debated, "I'm not sure if Claire is going to be better off hooking up with Holden, but I don't feel one bit sorry for Kyle." Most fans agree on one thing. They would like to see some sort of growth for Kyle. They think now would be the perfect time for him to reflect on his relationship with Lola and Summer. Other fans loved that Claire killed him with kindness. She told him that she needed to get out in the world and make mistakes. Claire wasn't being shady or snippy. She was being honest about her lack of life experience. Who do you think has the bigger backbone? Let us know in the comments section.